This is Dholera, Western India. Temperatures often top 40 degrees C. Dust and sand cover everything. On the surface, it's one of the least likely places on Earth to build something as delicate as a computer chip. But beneath this dust, Indians are bearing an $11 billion dream. On May 16, 2026, 4,000 miles away in the Netherlands, India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi was on a state visit. In a room packed with journalists and officials, he witnessed the signing of a document that could reshape the global semiconductor map. ASML, the Dutch monopoly that makes the machines that make chips, signed a strategic memorandum of understanding with India's Tata Electronics. This wasn't just a sales contract. ASML promised technical support, talent training, local supply chain development, and R&D infrastructure. At the exact same time, on the other side of the Himalayas, China is expanding its chip empire at a pace the world has never seen. This isn't just a business deal, it's a geopolitical chess move, it's a bet on the future. And it raises one question that keeps investors and policymakers up at night. Can India actually beat China in the chip race? I'm Steven, welcome to China Latest. The answer isn't simple. To understand what's really happening, we need to break this down into 3 layers. Why did ASML do this? What is India trying to build? And what is China doing right now? Most people see this news and think, ASML is helping India fight China. That's wrong. It underestimates ASML and it misunderstands the chip industry. ASML is the only company on Earth that makes extreme ultraviolet EUV lithography machines, the tools needed for 5nm and 3nm chips. But look closely at what ASML actually signed with India. ASML explicitly called this a non-commercial agreement. No specific equipment orders have been placed yet. We're not talking about EUV, we're talking about DUV, deep ultraviolet lithography, used for mature chips, 28nm and above. So why did ASML do this? The answer is risk hedging. For years, China was ASML's largest market, accounting for a significant share of its revenue. But with US pressure mounting and export controls tightening, ASML faces a harsh financial reality. In the press release, ASML CEO Christophe Fouquet said, India's rapidly growing semiconductor industry holds many attractive opportunities. Notice the word opportunities. This isn't charity. ASML needs a next big market. Look around the world. Who has the money, the ambition, and is willing to accept Western technology? India is the top candidate. Dutch Prime Minister Rob Jetten was blunt. It's not just ASML that benefits, it's a huge economic opportunity for other companies as well. ASML's logic is simple. They need to diversify geopolitical risk. China is becoming unpredictable. India is opening its doors, providing technical support and training. Is ASML planting seeds for the next decade? This is a long-term position. ASML is building a position in India, but whether that position grows depends entirely on India itself. ASML is providing the fishing rod. Whether India catches any fish is up to the water temperature. To understand India's ambition, you first have to understand its current reality. India imports nearly 100% of its chips. In a digital world, that means India's cars, phones, military, and AI industry all run on foreign-made brains. In 2021, India launched the India Semiconductor Mission with $10 billion in incentives, covering up to $17.2 billion in total investment. And Tata's Dholera fab is the crown jewel, $11 billion. It's the largest single semiconductor investment in India's history. The plan, 300mm wafers. Trial production is expected to start later this year. At full capacity, 50,000 wafers per month. That's up to 1.2 billion chips per year. But here's the critical detail. This fab is focused on 28nm, 40nm, and even 110nm mature nodes. This is not a factory for iPhone processors. This is a factory for cars, industrial equipment, and consumer electronics. Wait, mature nodes? Isn't that old technology? Why isn't India going straight for 3nm? Because that's impossible. TSMC, Samsung, and Intel have locked down the advanced node race. No newcomer can break in. but mature nodes still account for over 70% of global chip demand. From EVs to military radar, from IoT to power grids, these chips run the world. India's strategy is pragmatic. First, solve the to have or not to have problem at the mature node level. Then, worry about how good. That strategy makes sense, except for one problem. When India finally arrives at the starting line, the race has already begun, and one runner is already lapping the field. If India's strategy is from 0 to 1, China's strategy is from 1 to 100, and that 100 is reshaping the global chip market. According to SEMI, a staggering 77% of new 12-inch wafer capacity added globally in 2026 will be in China. That's not a prediction. That's happening now. China's moat isn't one company, it's scale. A scale built by state-backed investment, a massive domestic market, and a complete supply chain that India can't match. The speed and scale of China's mature node expansion is unprecedented. Between 2015 and 2023, China's mature node capacity grew 4 times faster than global demand growth. That inevitably leads to price wars. The Silverado Policy Accelerator, a US think tank, estimates that Chinese mature node chips are priced 30% below international market averages. The industry has a name for this, the China shock. Pranay Kutasthane, head of technology policy at India's Takshashila institution, put it bluntly, mature node fabs globally are headed toward what I call the China shock moment. Even TSMC, Tata's own technology partner from Taiwan, has publicly acknowledged that capacity expansion and price cuts from mainland China pose a serious challenge to mature node manufacturers, including TSMC itself. Let's put the numbers side by side. CSIS estimates China has committed over $150 billion in public funding to semiconductors. India's incentive package is $10 billion. Even adjusting for purchasing power parity, the gap is enormous. Imagine this scene. In late 2026 or 2027, Tata's Dholera fab finally produces its first made-in-India 28nm chips. The team celebrates, then they start calculating costs, and they discover that their Chinese competitor produces the same chip at 30% lower cost and 50 times the volume. If you're a global buyer, a German automaker, or an American industrial company, what do? Unless geopolitical pressure forces you to decouple from China, the commercial choice is obvious. This is China's moat, a river built of scale and cost. It doesn't mean India can never cross it, but it does mean India faces a brutal price war before it even gets started. Beyond China, India faces internal hard truths. Chip manufacturing is one of the most demanding industries on Earth. It requires extreme stability. 1 minute of power fluctuation can scrap a $1 million wafer batch. Gujarat is India's industrial powerhouse, but can its grid support 24/7 to 365 high-end manufacturing? That's still an open question. Talent is another challenge. India has an engineer dividend, but semiconductor manufacturing is not software. A programmer needs a laptop and Wi-Fi. A fab technician needs PhDs in physics, chemistry, and materials science, plus the patience for years of repetitive work in a clean room. Gartner Vice President Gaurav Gupta said it directly. India is effectively competing with itself because it first has to prove that it can execute large-scale semiconductor manufacturing. He estimates India is at least a decade away from a mature, reliable ecosystem. Sravan Kundojala of Semi-Analysis used an even more vivid metaphor. Tata's 50,000 wafers per month at full capacity is a drop in the ocean of global demand. He estimates the fab would cover less than 10% of India's own domestic needs. Even in the most optimistic scenario, India will remain heavily dependent on imported chips for years. Semiconductor self-sufficiency is a distant shore. That said, India does have one faster path: packaging and testing. In March 2026, Keynes's plant in Sanand began production. Micron's plant is also operational. Advanced packaging is becoming a new frontier of innovation, and India's OSAT, outsourced semiconductor assembly and test, investments could pay off sooner. So where does this leave us? Can India actually beat China? If we have to give an answer, it depends on which of three scenarios plays out over the next decade. Scenario 1, the moonshot, probability 5%. This requires ASML to ignore US pressure and sell EUV to India. It requires TSMC and Samsung to relocate to Bangalore. It requires India's infrastructure to magically become world-class in 5 years. Under current geopolitics and physics, almost impossible. Scenario 2, the China plus one beneficiary, probability medium. This is the most likely scenario. As Western countries push China plus one diversification, India, with ASML's support and its own cost advantages, can capture some low-end orders that would have gone to China. But this isn't beating China, it's being a backup. Scenario 3, the niche survivor, probability high. This is the most realistic path. India avoids a head-on price war with China in consumer electronics. Instead, it focuses on strategic domestic needs: defense, space, railways, local automotive supply chains. With government contracts and protected markets, India can build a good enough and secure semiconductor ecosystem. So, what's the final answer? India will not beat China in semiconductors in the foreseeable future. But that doesn't mean India is losing. For India, the ASML deal isn't a 100-meter sprint, it's a marathon start. Its significance is simple: India has finally entered the game. China owns the present, an already built, massive, cost-competitive, mature node ecosystem. India is buying the future, with ASML's technical support, with $10 billion in government incentives, and with Tata's bet. India has entered. How this hand plays out, let's check back in 2030.